Susan was fighting in the UFC, and a friend of mine went to Bakersfield College, and he was here illegally from Mexico. Or no, from Peru, I think.
Oh, okay.
And finally, he got frustrated when he was trying to fight he was fighting in the UFC, and then at some point there's an issue with him getting. They said, well, you having a real green card. Mm-hmm. And he's like, finally he said, fuck you. He moved.
That's crazy.
He moved out of the country. He's left.
Oh, wow.
I mean, hey, taxes suck here, so he's probably
We
somewhere where
think about it all the
taxes
time.
aren't killing him. He's probably saved some money.
Probably what he was doing.
That's so funny.
He's like, he finally just gave up. He's like, well, then send me back. I'm tired of it. I've been here my whole life. I grew up here. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, Chuck Liddell, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
It's I know you just got off a flight, so we appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
No, I've been bugging him to. So I used to have a live stream show before we did this podcast, and I wanted you to get on the live stream show before, but this is actually going to be a much cooler show than that. So I'm happy that you're coming on this one instead. But it's so funny because I forgot how it came up. We he's a really big fan of MMA and fighting and I had told him, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm in this group DM with Chuck Liddell and like all these people. And I told him the story. It was the funniest thing. I remember one time.
Well, so for anyone that doesn't know, like if you're, an influencer or if you're famous or whatever, there will be group DMs where people all like support each other's content. So someone posts, they say they like it, whatever.
And if you're in the DM, you're supposed to support each other. Like that's the point. And I remember there was this guy in there who like wasn't supporting, and it was the funniest thing. And I remember you punked him in the DM, and you were like, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were literally like, hey, yo, you were like, what the fuck? Like, you're like, why aren't you liking anybody's shit? And the funniest, he got scared. And I remember he was like, dang, I don't want no smoke, Chuck. And he got all scared. But I remember I appreciated it so much because I got annoyed by it too. Not just by that person, but I remember I was like, yo, like some of these girls too in the DM weren't like liking my pics back. And I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, I'm liking your shit, So I was happy you spoke up.
That was the thing. I was someone else was running out for me to do it, but I was like, I still don't like. I'm like, look, guys, like if we're doing this. That's what we do. We're supposed to be going back and forth. We're not going back and forth. What are you doing?
Well, I think
we're not friends. I mean, there were people I like on there. I've met quite a few people. I like a lot of people on there, but
it also just goes to show that you're like an authentic person and like you're, I know the same thing. I know other people want to say it. I mean, some people are just too nice sometimes. I mean, I consider myself a pretty nice person, but I like to be upfront, and so I don't and say stuff before I need to get mad at you.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be mad at anybody. I don't want to get to the next level, about anything. Not that anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm real careful with people. Let them know from, hey, I really don't like what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
People always go, man, it's Chuck mad at me. I said, if you've got to ask, I'm not.
Right.
We're good.
Yeah.
We cool.
Yeah.
If you got to ask somebody, hey, is Chuck mad at me? Nah, I'm not. We're okay.
But that's something that a lot of people don't understand about martial artists.
Yeah, but that too. I don't mean I'm not threatening. I'll just let you know, hey man, that ain't cool, man. I don't like you doing that. I'm not, because I don't want to get to a point where I feel like it has to take the next step.
Exactly.
I don't want to get there.
I'm the
same. I never want to be in that spot. I just had to give you a warning, like, hey, what you're doing is not working for me. Let's let that go.
Yeah.
No, but that's something that people don't understand about martial artists is, it can be very humbling because sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And even though you're so capable, you're not, most martial artists are actually very kind people and they're not looking to just hurt people. That's not why they practice it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel
sure.
I feel that. I think that it's so funny too because people, and this is a perfect example, people associate like sometimes I think professional fighting with like the person like, oh, these are like kind of like angry people or something like that, Especially I know this because I had a moment like on TMZ where I was kind of angry. And the funniest thing is after this came out, I had like these like celebrity boxing people hitting me up like, hey, you want to do boxing? And I'm like, I was just angry for 5 seconds. Like, I don't need to get out here and like box someone. You know what I mean?
You'd have to take your nails off. I don't know if you could do
the
it.
funny thing with that too is that's one of the things you train that you want to be that way. You don't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Guys that the guys pounding their chest and threaten tough guys at the bar all the time. Those guys aren't tough.
Like they're insecure.
I ain't worried about them.
Yeah.
Oh, I was telling you want to worry about some of that. I told them we were at an after party after these couple guys are wrestling on the floor, and some of the girls were like, "Man, are those guys fighters?" I'm like, "No." You see that guy? See that guy sitting over there talking to those two girls? Yeah, that guy's a fighter. Yeah. See the guy in the jacuzzi over there drinking a drink, having his drink? Yeah, that guy's a fighter. Those two guys are idiots. Why are they wrestling right now?
Okay, wait. I'm actually interested from the perspective of like a champion and a professional fighter. Without knowing the person, what are some of the telltale signs of someone that you know is a fighter? If you didn't know who they were.
Oh man, it's hard to tell. Like, it's really hard to just go look at someone's house. I mean, I check their ears. Is always good to know someone's done something.
Yeah.
Those guys with their ears that look like this, they've done quite a bit of training usually. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to tell. It's just guys typically carry themselves. They're not, they carry themselves different. I mean, you're not threatening people. You're not out there being don't get me wrong. There's exceptions to all the rules, guys.
Yeah.
So just don't, I'm not everybody. There's some really tough guys that act like assholes.
Yeah.
So it's there that happens too. But for the most part, most guys I know that are really good or laid back. And I remember once, long story I was telling a buddy of mine's about 145 pounds, soaking wet, never been in a fight.
Yeah.
We're at the first time I started dating my ex-wife, and we're at this club and we're at a friend's table, and there's this big dude there, and oh man, that guy's a fighter, man. So telling me, he trains, he does this, and she knows him. Thought I'd care, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know. Okay, cool, yeah, great. And he comes over a little bit later, and my buddy's sitting at the end of the table with a beer, sitting there, and this guy comes over, who the fuck you with? And then he said, "It's that. Hey, get the fuck off our table." I'm like, "That motherfucker, he's with me." What? You sit down and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And he went over and sat down and see what that guy is. That guy's not a tough guy. That guy's a pussy.
Yep.
He's really all ready to go be an asshole to my buddy. Mm-hmm. But then I threaten him and he sits down.
Right.
Okay. You're not a tough guy.
Yeah.
And, if you fighting over, you decide whether or not you kick guys' ass before you'll fight them, and then you're not a tough guy.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
5 total.
Really?
I got a 10, a 12, and then I got the older ones, 21, 24, and 25.
What do you think is the most challenging one? Was it the first one, or the middle, or the last?
They're all different. But I've been lucky. I was blessed so far. So far, so good.
Yeah.
I've been blessed with that was all when teen years. I was like, not so bad. Not bad at all.
That's good.
Great kid. She's graduated from UCSD, chemical engineering.
Nice.
No way.
Brainiac.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Got her job up in Seattle. She's doing great.
That's great. Yeah, we just had a little girl, and it's definitely a new experience. We're a lot more tired than we used to be.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something too. Like I thought we had Irish twins. They're a year and a half apart.
Oh, okay.
That's my mom used to call my twins. So year and a half apart. So I thought 2 would be just twice the work. Mm-hmm. It was exponential for me. It was like because now you got 2 of them. So one goes to sleep, and the other one's up.
I think about this all the time, actually.
Because I used to cheat. Like whenever my girl take a nap, you know what? Dad's gonna take a nap.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a little nap with her. Get a few things done and take a nap. But when we had both of them, I couldn't do that.
This is why I never wanted to have twins, because it just sounds like you'll never get a break.
No, my dream was like, I want to just have twins, knock out 2 kids at once, one and done.
I will tell you, my kids, after about 3 and when they were 3 and 4, they've been best friends for forever. Like they keep each other entertained. It was real easy.
Well, we're both only children, so I think both of us kind of wish we had siblings. Because for me too, you know, and you get it, like especially in LA, you know, some of your friends, you don't know if they're your real friends, like you don't know how it is. But when you have a brother or a sister,
exactly,
like that's,
you
that's
have
like
like
a
that
rock solid bond, you know?
Yeah, that great support system.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I got 2 brothers and a sister.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so.
Are you the like oldest,
I'm the
youngest?
oldest boy.
Oldest boy. Nice.
Oh, so the girl, your sister's the oldest.
My sister's the oldest.
Oh, okay.
I was my mom raised us. I was number 1 son, so I was in charge.
Yeah, that's
Were your
cool.
brothers ever into martial arts?
A little bit. They did a little bit. I was the only one that stuck with it. We all joined together, but
So you were fighting like since a kid.
since I was 12. I started
Wow.
martial arts when I was 12.
That's dope.
Where'd you grow up?
Santa Barbara, born and raised.
Oh, really?
Nice.
I'm born and raised in Santa Barbara. I moved up to San Luis Obispo to go to college. Lived there for 20 years, and then now I'm in Moore Park right now. I was in Hidden Hills for about 12 years. Now I'm in Moore Park. But
So
Nice.
the bulk of your
within-
training.
I'm within an hour and a half of where I grew up.
Nice.
Yeah. So the bulk of your training was in San Luis Obispo, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, most people don't consider San Luis Obispo as like a hub for MMA, and you know, most people like to train
Yeah.
with other high caliber people. So how did you know, go about like your training there? Do you feel like you were getting like the best quality training?
Yeah, John Ackelman was my coach for a long time. He was up there, and then I mean I was going back and forth with him in Vegas for John Lewis in the beginning for jiu-jitsu. And I had wrestling there. I had the guys to work with wrestling for my wrestling team. I wrestled with Cal Poly. And then, and yeah, we bring in people. We had a kind of like, during my career, we had partnership with AKA. So we had those guys coming down all the time. Cain Velasquez come down.
That's nice.
All those guys, a lot of guys from
Yeah,
there.
Kane's a beast.
Quite a few guys. God, I can't think of all the guys' names. But yeah, we had quite a few guys from there that come on a regular basis. Cain came down a couple times. Good dude.
Did you work on a lot of jiu-jitsu when you were training?
Yeah. That's a funny thing. I still get today, like people like, I think I was rolling it. I was it was probably now a year or two ago now, but I was, went by John Lewis's, he had his class. I was like, oh man, you want to roll? Oh, sure. Why not? You know, like,
Yeah.
you got a gi I can borrow? Yeah. So I borrowed a gi. Cause I don't usually do jiu-jitsu in a gi. I'm like, so it's a little
Just
new
no-
to me,
no
but
gi,
I've been
yeah.
learning it I recently. So I just something interesting, something to
Yeah.
learn, play with.
Yeah.
And I go in there and I'm rolling with one of his brown belts, and he's like, I swept him a couple times. He's like, man, I thought you were a kickboxer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? You do realize I've been working with your coach since '97. I mean,
Well, I think it's because during your career,
Yeah,
I could probably count the amount of times on my hand that you ever actually ended up on the ground.
yeah. Well,
you know?
people didn't. I didn't use it because standing on my feet was where I could finish fights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used the ground to get up, but I was good on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Glover getting mad when I was going to fight Babalu, and everyone was the second time, and Babalu, and they're like talking about if he can just get him down, he can beat him. And Glover's like, man, Chuck could beat here. He beat him in a jiu-jitsu match. But I'm like, so, but it's you know, it's probably was the funnest part of the sport when I started switching over, was learning that and learning how to mix it all together. Because I wrestled, you know, since I was 14.
Yeah.
And I doing karate since I was 12, doing striking, and I did kickboxing for 5 years competitively, and then, you know, then I went into doing when I started doing mixed martial arts. That was the newest thing to me, was learning the jiu-jitsu. So learning all the new moves and figuring out how to put them together and how I was going to use them. Because I kind of did it my own little way. Like John would show me stuff he liked. My buddy Scott Adams was a real good leg lock guy, and he'd show me some stuff for that. And I kind of do my own way of getting like halfway through their moves. I just pull my leg out. So I figured out I could just go halfway through setup, like I'm trying to go for a knee, like a roll through for a knee bar, and then I get halfway through and then pull my leg out, and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm out. And so people, and especially when I first started doing that, people were like expecting me to do the jiu-jitsu thing. So they'd be defending it, and then I pull my leg out, and they go, oh, damn,
Yeah.
where'd he go?
Well, you were very good at escaping bad positions, getting back to your feet. You know,
Sounds like my life. I'm definitely good at escaping bad positions and getting back on my feet. Definitely. I can relate to that one.
I think through your whole career, if I'm thinking, I think you got one. The only time I can think of you landing like a big head kick might be against Babalu, right? For a knockout.
Yeah,
Most of the time, you would just finish fights with your hands. Were you
Yeah.
just so confident in your ability to strike that you never felt the need to use other techniques?
Well, I use my legs in a lot of fights. I mean, I think I near the end of my career, my knees were getting beat up a little bit, so it's getting a little harder to use them. But some of it came to like I was like, cause it wasn't so much like I wasn't when I get hurt sparring, like I pull a head kick and they grab my leg and I hurt my knee and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
I didn't kick you. You don't have to hold on to my knee.
Dude, I'm not even going to show you, but my ankle is like 4 times its usual size right now because of jiu-jitsu.
He's been doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like, babe, he's so funny. He injured his ankle, and he wanted to go back right away. I was like, no, let's let it heal first so we don't end. I'm like, I can't be taking care of you in a wheelchair for life. Hey,
Chuck understands. He gets it. It's like you can't stay away from the gym, you know?
But I will say this, though, even talking about ending fights with knocks, those are my favorite type of fights because, we're fans of UFC. My mom's a huge fan of UFC. And I can't stand when the fight is like just the whole entire time all they're doing is grabbing each other. I'm like, this is mixed martial arts. It is not a wrestling match. Do more.
There's 2 things I have with that. One, if you have to have a little more understanding of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But the other problem is a lot of times those guys aren't doing anything. They're not trying to finish a fight. They're not. I mean, I remember recently at one where Kamaru Usman lost.
Yep.
Chimaev. They said how he won that third round. How did he give him that third round? He was on top for 2 minutes. Number one. Mm-hmm. So it's supposed to be divided by and you're standing for 3, and Usman slightly edged out the stand up on that round, and then the ground he was on top, so you give him a slight edge, but he did nothing, and he wasn't even trying to do anything. He was just trying to control.
Well, I
know what I'm looking for. I mean, I know if you're trying to control somebody, or if you're actually trying to advance and trying to get work for something.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I saw this quote by John Danaher, obviously for him, and he was saying that a lot of times people don't like to go for finishes because they're scared of getting swept and losing their position.
Well, of course, and I get that, but even that, I don't think you should be. I mean, if you're just staying in control, you shouldn't get that much of a.
Right.
If you're just sitting there holding, you're stalling.
It shouldn't be that valuable.
You're stalling. If you're not punching, you're not causing any damage. And I like submissions. I like guys if you're not working to advance your position and go for something to finish the fight or get in a better position to punch, then what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Like you should. I'm not saying that. If you can control the guy and you can stay there, it's his fault for not being able to get his ass off the bottom.
Right.
But should you be scored that much for it? I mean, obviously, this is like if 2 guys walk around the ring the whole time.
Right.
No, that's all they do. No one lands a punch. No one really does anything. You pretty much will give it to the guy that's chasing the other guy around.
Yeah.
Right? Not the guy that's running.
Right.
Same thing if you guys are laying on top of him, not doing anything, you give it to the guy that's laying on top because he's at least in the control position.
Right.
Yeah.
But should you give him a big score for it? No.
Right.
Maybe, oh man, it should be a 10-8 round. For what? He had 2 attempted submissions in the whole round. What is that? Like, an attempted submission, like, wait, like, that would get me started on that one.
Yeah.
I would people because attempted submission now, if you really had a shot at getting it, it was close. And a judge should be good enough to know if it's close. Mm-hmm. If you were close at getting it and the guy had to squeeze out had to pull something out to get out of it, great. That's an attempted submission.
Yeah.
Guy throws his legs up around your He does a triangle like this on your neck, and it's on your neck and your shoulders in a good position. Yeah. That's not
didn't really have anything.
That's not an attempted submission. He's not getting it.
Yeah.
There's no. But if you let him get you from there, you might as well giving it to him.
Well, earlier in your career, you fought in Pride, right? Yep. And flew over to Japan. What was that like as a guy from San Luis Obispo or Santa Barbara, and now you're in Japan fighting in front of all these fans, fighting some of the the killers of the game?
Seriously.
That was fun. That was interesting. It was an interesting thing though too. So after the first fight, I won my fight. I'm up there and I'm watching Dan Henderson fight, and I'm kind of on the first risers, kind of away from the thing. And I'm yelling, get up, go get it, whatever, yelling, whatever. My brother's tapping me. I'm like, what do you want? Take your headphones off. I take my headphones, like, you can hear a pin drop if I was in the middle of the fight. I'm like, oh. Like you said, because they're quiet. They're very quiet when you fight. Like they'll like cheer, like go, ooh. I mean, there's some Americans in the crowd, so there's some, but when there's 18,000 people, there's only a few people cheering. It sounds like nothing.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. I mean, you can talk to your. I could have shouted corner advice from there.
Right.
And he could have heard me, no problem.
So crazy.
It's a weird.
How did you get recruited to even do that? Because a lot of American fighters fought in Pride, and I remember thinking to myself, even back then, like how are all these top American fighters ending up in Japan fighting? Well,
actually, I fought Kevin Randleman, and I knocked him out in a minute 18. And they came after this, and the Pride people came after and asked if they could borrow me for a fight. They had someone fell out. It was 3 weeks later, so it was in like two or 3 weeks.
Was Dana already running the UFC at this point, or was he just your manager?
Yeah, I think he was running it.
He was already running it, so he was okay with you going over there and fighting.
Well, I had to redo my contract anyway. It was coming up, so they just did a 2-tier contract. You go there and win, this is your contract. Go there and lose, this is your contract. So
that's kind of crazy.
So
they're like basically.
I made more money I made my whole career in those two fights.
Really?
Probably more than doubled what I made between kickboxing and MMA.
No way.
Man, at that point, I was like, I made 20 grand for the Randleman fight, and then I made 40 for the guy Metzger. So in 3 weeks, I made 60 grand. And I was like,
that's pretty cool.
I was like, well, hey, there we go.
Yeah.
I think that fighters should make way more money. That's my.
Well, back then, now at that time, you couldn't really. They were losing money. They were losing money hand over fist at the time.
But I still think that even now, I mean, now it's blown up. It's like there's as many people in the arena as like a freaking basketball game.
I would say it's hard to know how much guys are getting paid too, because I'll tell you, like, I don't think I can say specifics. I don't know if I talk specifics about it, but I don't. I made nothing close to what my official fight purse was.
Yeah.
Oh, like what was disclosed? You're saying you weren't making that much, or you were making more?
I was making more than that.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Well, the UFC.
So I don't know. If they still do that with other people. I don't know how it works. I mean, I'm totally out of the contract stuff.
Yeah.
They ask me about the sponsorship stuff all the time. I'm like, I'm out of that too.
Right.
I haven't. They didn't even have the uniforms.
Right.
I was still fighting. So.
How long has it been since you were fighting?
Last fight in UFC was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I remember that era because my mom is a big UFC fan, and she really gets fired up. And I remember right around that time, that was like right when I had got on TV, stopped living with my mom, and I remember that era very well. But I wanted to ask you, so as far as watching fights as like a spectator, who's your favorite person to watch these days in MMA?
Well, Glover just retired. That was my favorite. That's because he's just family. So it's like I watching him. Like,
well, just an inspirational story too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and just a great guy.
Yeah,
like he's just. But I like. There's a lot of great fighters out there right now. Like I like watching guys that get out there and scrap.
Yep.
Who do you see right now that might have like the most similar game to yours? Anyone come to mind?
I don't know.
I have someone in mind.
Who?
I think you have a lot of similarities with Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, he's tough.
Because
my mom's a big fan of his.
Because he's a guy with a big wrestling background, but chooses to strike, finishes most fights with his hands, throws the occasional head kick. I feel like, he's more of like a modern version of what you were. Obviously, he hasn't.
Yeah, he's tough.
He hasn't achieved the success that you achieved, but yeah, I feel like he's got some real similarities to you.
He's a tough fighter. That's good. I don't mind that.
He's like, I'll take it. Wait, babe, what was the fight that we went to? The one
we went to, the most recent one we went to was the John Jones Cyril Gahn fight, which was the most anticlimactic fight ever.
No, I know. I remember. I was no. He has a funny video of me.
Yeah.
That video is hilarious.
Her face
he
is
literally
just
took at the end of the fight. He takes a video and it just goes to me, and I'm like,
really?
I'm like, is that what? I was like, we just waited for that.
I mean, you don't know how to defend a
Guillotine.
Standing.
I mean, I guess that's just how good John Jones is, but I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
Okay, come on.
But you know what it is? I mean, because we were there. We felt the energy. When John Jones was coming out, it felt like Mike Tyson or like Muhammad Ali was coming to the ring. And, you know, it's an energy thing, so you can't really know. But I could just feel like maybe the moment was getting to Cyril Gahn because it just felt so...
No, remember...
And people... And if you don't know, though, that standing guillotine, because I like that one, actually, because you can use the fence. Instead, I always tell my head that, why, if you can't finish it standing against the cage, don't drop to your back, please.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Don't drop to your back and try to finish a guillotine. It doesn't happen most of the time.
Yeah.
And then you end up in a bad position. Like, I think that Connor fight when he did that, I was like, what is he? What?
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you driving a guillotine?
Yeah.
No. You got to stop, push off.
Yeah.
Strike. Go back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, John's good at that. I mean, he finished Lyoto Machida with it.
Oh no, he's good at it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you should be at that early in the fight. You should be able to defend it on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing.
I thought there should have been. I thought there should have been. But you know, it's one of those things. Like sometimes, and I've gotten guys with different stuff, like doing jiu-jitsu sometimes. And I'll be doing something, and I'll be sitting there with like a front headlock, right? And then I'm like, wait, this guy's not gonna. Because they'll be comfortable because they don't think you got anything there. I'm like, this guy, is he not gonna? Oh, you want me to? Okay, let me get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. I was submitting. I'm like, what would you have? Well, I mean, if you let me get it that tight, when I squeeze, you're not gonna. It's not gonna help. You're not gonna get out.
Yeah.
But I mean, because sometimes you know, if you don't react right away to it, he's not doing anything, and you let him get it sunk. Where I'm just gonna let me sink it. Okay, I got it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you don't react, sometimes you learn enough to a move. Like sometimes guys learn enough to a move, so they don't react as like sporadically right away, and then they get relaxed there, and then they're able to get it sunk.
Yep.
And then when it's sunk, it's over.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're like, oop, messed that one up.
I don't like being in that position because I feel like there's just too much tension being put on my neck. So anytime someone has their arm around my head like that, I'm trying to get out immediately because it's like, you know.
Well, again, guys, but you got to learn not to, because guys, if you get good at that, at defending it though too, like the Von Flue choke was from that. Well, he developed that from guys, big guys. He used to coach my gym. Teach guys at my gym, but he developed that from big guys coming in and trying to hold his head, and he gets positioned, they're just cranking on his neck. And he just put on and submit him.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, a Von Flue choke is basically when your opponent has you in like a headlock or a guillotine, and you essentially use that against them to choke them.
Yeah,
because you're off to the side, so they don't have any. They're not stopping their legs, so they're in a bad position. They need to let go. What they really need to do is let go. But if they don't let go, he was able to. Oh, they're not going to let go. Wait, let me try this. And then people start going to sleep, and they're stuck. Now you can't let go.
Wait, I have to ask a question really fast. So before we started this podcast, we were talking about your daughter being in cheerleading, and I was just curious. So I just know that if I was in high school and you were my dad, I feel like boys would be scared. Is that a problem at all for your daughter? Or like guys are just like, I don't even want to come near him. He's scary.
I don't think so. Not yet. I mean, she's only 12. So,
okay. Oh, I didn't know how old
Wait,
she was.
but do you have older daughters? Yeah.
But we had a funny thing. We took pictures. First dance she went to, and I have me punking the kid because I actually drove him. I drove him. I was a chauffeur.
That's so cute.
Got a nice car for him and drove him as a chauffeur. And but we took pictures and we posted them, and they wound up on like Fox, their internet, Fox News.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It was funny. And all these things like, you let her go out with that older boy, and I'm like, older boy, he's 14. He's tall. She's short. He's tall. She's 16. Or she was like 15. He's 14, and they're going to a dance, guys.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But she didn't date a lot, but she said everybody knew like that was always that joke. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I can't imagine. I mean, my dad is a short guy. Nobody's scared of him. So I was like, he's not scaring any of the boyfriends for me.
Yeah, no, I never really. She didn't really get into having boyfriends for a long time. She actually had I think first boyfriend when she was 18.
Sounds like you have great kids.
Oh, she's amazing. They're amazing. Good kids, great kids. My oldest is doing. She's getting her doctorate in neuroscience.
That's amazing.
She just
so you have some smart kids.
Oh yeah.
And you raised them all like in
well, no, they
California
or one first two with two different moms early on. That's a long story.
Did they all grow up in California?
One grew up in Denver.
Okay.
One other one grew up in the San Luis Obispo area at Tascadero.
Nice.
And then the other three were all here.
Oh, cute.
Oh, see this one. Oh, that's so funny. This is what you're talking about. That's hilarious.
That's so. He's literally like.
Dude, I feel like he's not even looking at you, and you can just feel the stare.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's so cute.
Yeah, good sport, good kid.
Yeah.
He's a nice kid.
That's at the Commons in Calabasas.
Yeah.
Oh, we were just there having dinner at a Portavia. Have you ever eaten there?
Yeah.
That's her favorite. What is
obsessed.
it? The tortellini.
They had this tortellini pasta there. I'm obsessed with it. If we drive by, I'm like, stop!
What's it called?
It's the butternut squash tortellini.
I love butternut squash.
It's
you gotta try
so
it.
good.
Yeah.
Portavia better give me some free meals for this. So I'm plugging you guys hard right now. Yeah, no, they're the best. It's like my favorite restaurant.
You said you live in Woodland Hills, right?
No,
we don't want to blast where he lives, but you know,
it's a big place.
I know.
Yeah. No, I was in Hidden Hills, and then now I'm in Moore Park.
Oh, okay. We're looking somewhere
to move
around
back
there
that way because it's so expensive to live in Hollywood, and we're like, for what this house costs, we could have way more out there, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I was looking at. That time, I looked in Studio City and stuff when I first got my house in Hidden Hills, and it was just like looking at stuff. I was like, you have to drive up these windy roads to get there. There's nowhere to park.
No space.
That's how this house kind of is.
At that time, I had five. At that time, I had 5 cars. I only had 2 now, but I'm good. But I had 5 cars at the time. Yeah. Look, what I got 2 parking. I looked at a place for that had. And it's got a dog run for outside backyard, and I have 2 parking spaces like this.
Oh man!
I'm like, for the same thing, I get an acre. I'm got same price. I get an acre, and
that's what we need.
And I just like having space.
Yeah.
No, we're the same way, especially now with a little girl. She likes to run around everywhere. We'll show you the backyard before you go, but it's great. It's a pool.
It's not a kid-friendly backyard.
Yeah.
We're like Hollywood Hills is not the place for that. So I think
we get the random kooky person that comes up to our door here and there too. And
oh my gosh, no! Like I told you the story about that one time you weren't here about the Ron Burgundy.
Wait,
so
what?
there was so listen to this. So there was a crazy guy going up the street and like dressed head to toe in like what looked like a Superman, like a superhero outfit, and it was all burgundy, like a burgundy cape, burgundy, and he had like the shorts over the tights. And so the funniest thing is my mom is the one who came up with this. So he's walking by and my mom goes, "Oh, great. We got Ron Burgundy outside." And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She goes, "Come look." And I come look, and it's literally just like this crazy guy, and he's holding his cape, and he's just like walking down the street and like waving his cape. And I'm like, this is what you get living in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, just a random crazy guy going to the street thinking he's a superhero.
That's funny.
But like, I don't know. Who knows if it's that much better these days in the Valley or Hidden Hills or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very rare in Hidden Hills because we have the security, the gates.
A lot of gated communities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one guy come one time, like selling magazines or something. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Funniest thing I got was like, I think it was what's his name? What's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. He's a germ freak. He's doing a talk show. How did I know?
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
You know him too, right?
I know he was on Ridiculousness.
No, I know he's cool. I like him. He's one of my neighbors, but he lives up the street. Right? My street, which is a cul-de-sac, up the top. And so the guy came and was trying to sell me. I'm good. Now I'm good. Went inside, and I get a call on my house phone, which is in the Hidden Hills directory.
Yeah.
So he got my house phone because he doesn't have my number. I don't have his. And he goes, and he's like, "Why did you send that guy up to my house?" I'm like, "What? The guy selling magazines? Why did you send that guy selling magazines up my house?" I'm like, "What? Like, I don't even know where you live." I don't know where your house is. Why would I send anyone to your house?
Yeah, Chuck, why are you sending all those germy magazines to his house?
I'm like, well, why would I send someone to you? Like, first off,
Wait, this is so funny.
I wouldn't send even if I had your address.
Why did he think you sent them?
I guess the guy went up, oh, Chuck, because he recognized who I was. So when he saw
like name dropped you, yeah.
Oh, Chuck told me to come up here and talk, like just trying to use it as a sales thing. Like, me, that's how he's kept.
Wait, that is so. I love how Howie Mandel got all gangster. Like, why you send him to my house?
I'm like, really? That's what you called me about? Like, you think I would send someone to your house? Like, you're the last one. I don't do that to people.
Yeah.
2, you're the last guy to do that to.
Well, and 3, it's not that big a deal. Just let it go.
Wait, that is the funniest story. I wish I knew the story before Howie Mandel was on Ridiculousness.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
I give it to him. He had no problem calling me.
Right.
I've seen him a bunch of times. I was cool with him because I see him in the comments and stuff.
Yeah.
He's an interesting cat. I don't know, he's cool.
No, he is interesting. It's so funny because I remember growing up, like, I remember him as a kid with curly, like really curly hair.
Okay.
And when he came on Ridiculousness, I was like, oh, wait, he's bald now. And then I remember I told one of my glam people, I'm like, I thought he had really curly hair. And my glam was like, Chanel, where have you been? He's literally been bald for like 10 years plus. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I remember him as the curly hair guy. Maybe I'm stuck in the past.
See, I only knew him from America's Got Talent. So I never even knew him from like before.
He used to be. So do you remember the cartoon Bobby's World?
No.
Okay, I'm a couple years older than him. I'm not robbing the cradle. I'm just a couple years older. But it was even a little before my era. But there was a cartoon called Bobby's World, and Howie Mandel was like a voice on it, and that was how I knew who he was as a kid.
Okay.
But that's a very funny story.
I was just random things.
Yeah.
That is a great random story, though. No, wait. Might not be the best story, but I have to tell Chuck the story that you told me.
Oh,
because that was also how I thought of having you come on this podcast with us again. So his stepdad was telling us a story about. He's like, when Dom was a kid, he was a little pest, man. He's like he'd always be messing shit up, and I was like, what did he do? And so his stepdad goes to tell me a story about him. And apparently,
no. So I'll tell it. So
okay, tell the story.
So
it's really funny.
Yeah. So when you were at the peak, like reigning as champion, I think at that point you only had 3 losses. I think it was Randy Couture, Rampage, and maybe Jeremy Horn.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were on a quest to avenge those losses. So you beat Jeremy Horn, you beat Randy Couture, and then the last thing was to beat Rampage, and he was finally coming from Pride.
Wait, it was with Rampage?
It was Rampage,
I did a gig with Rampage in Vegas,
really?
Remember? That's so funny. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So he was coming from Pride to the UFC, and then you guys fought, whatever. So anyway, highly anticipated fight. Everyone's excited for it. So all my stepdad's friends were at the house, and we were going to watch the fight. And he had this habit, and I'm telling you people, this is a lesson. Is he had this habit where he would like to pause and go, like, they'd go hang out, have a drink, whatever, and then they'd come back and press play. And I'm telling people out there, don't pause live events. Watch it live. So anyway, he comes back in the room. I think 10 minutes had gone by, so it's been paused. So he goes, I'm sitting there, and I'm like a kid. I'm like, I don't know how old I was at the time.
He said you were like 10.
Yeah, I was like 10, 11, 12, I don't know. And he goes to like sit down. He's holding the remote. and I pull his chair out from underneath him.
Trying to be funny.
He falls and drops the remote, and it skips ahead past your walk-in, like past all the epic whatever, and the fight was already over. So we didn't get to see any of it.
That was the story about him being a pest as a kid. And his stepdad was like, I missed the whole fight. I was pissed off. And
obviously we know you lost that fight, whatever, but we just thought that was a funny story because we were all ready to watch it. And because he had paused it and because I did that, we didn't get to see any of it. And it was just over.
And that's why I told him, I was like, we got to make it up to your stepdad. And I was like, we'll get Chuck on the podcast.
That's funny.
Isn't that such a funny story?
You're like, oh, and that was back then. You could. I think
back then.
That was it.
I think back then that was it.
Yeah,
you have to buy it.
Go back.
You have to buy it again.
Yeah, exactly.
You buy the replay later.
And my stepdad's a former Marine. He's a big guy too. He's like 6'4", like 260 something pounds. So I ran that night. I like hid in my room. I was like, this is not good.
That's so funny, dude. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I'm honestly so happy that you were able to make it today. You have been one of our best guests, just so you know.
Well, thank you.
Well, you have good stories. Sometimes people don't have good stories.
I feel you have plenty of stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Yeah. You lived a good life.
Yeah, I can't complain. No, I've had a blessed life. Great. And it's been a crazy ride.
So I know you said you have a gym. What's next for you? Like, is that what are you working on?
I actually don't have a gym now, right at the moment.
Oh, you don't?
I didn't want to have a fight team because I have young kids.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I mean, even if I just had guys who are fighting in the UFC, there's 40 UFCs a year.
Yeah.
You know, if I have to be gone, my thing is if I'm training guys for fights, I got to be there when they fight. I mean, you just don't travel with the team. You know, I've been training a guy for 3-4 years, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. They're family.
Yeah.
And if I feel they have a better shot of winning if I'm there, I got to be there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, you know, I still love coaching guys, helping guys, like trying to show them anything they, you know, add something to their game if I can, especially guys that are fighting. Mm-hmm. But
it's a big commitment.
But it's a big commitment to have an actual team. Mm-hmm. So and I don't think if I open a gym, I could keep away from having a team. So, So I think I somewhere down the road when my kids get tired of hanging out with dad, when they start wanting to just do their own thing, then maybe it'll be a little easier.
That's cool. You sound like you're a really good dad.
Oh, I love my kids.
That's
good,
dope.
man. That's good.
That's really dope. Yeah, I grew up on my dad was in New York growing up, so it was just me and my mom, you know. But I love to hear stories about just good dads and good families. Like it makes me just happy. It really does. It like warms my heart, especially whenever it's people who have such busy careers, you know, like that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do right now is like how to have this career. And like right now my mom's got the baby. She's going to drop her off right when we're done with this. And you know, it's a lot to balance to give your kids that attention and still like focus on what you're doing. And I love that you're just like full on, I'm dedicated to the kids.
You would want to, I was going to say the first time I traveled with Guinevere and Danica, but first time traveling with, I think we had Guinevere and Charlie. So I got the two little ones, babies, and we traveled down to, I think both of them with us, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we went down to Brazil, and we went down to we had to transfer to a different forget what city we were going to. It wasn't one of the main ones. So we get down there, and we fly down, check in, and go down all the way down, we get there, and I overpacked everything. I was like, I look like coming from the airport, I look like a pack mule.
Hey, she knows all about that.
I know.
You over travel with everything. I think we brought the playpen and everything. We learned to do it a little better later, but so we get there and you know I got people helping because I was working for the UFC at the time. I was down there working, so I come down and brought the kids with us, and we take the kids with us everywhere. I think my daughter had like 16 countries in her passport.
Oh my gosh, that's sick.
At age 5.
That's so cute.
From traveling with us. But we went down there. So then we go to fly back, right? And I got 2 guys from the UFC helping me take all the stuff to the thing, get packed, get everything checked in and ready to go. We get from there to, we fly to the connection, right? And they during our trip, they discontinued their partnership with that airport, with the international airport.
Wait,
so we couldn't, we had to go get all our bags from the baggage and get on a bus and take them to the international terminal. So we went to Sao Paulo's.
Oh my gosh!
Like local terminal.
Yeah.
Instead of checking your bags, just be checked through.
Yeah.
We had to go get them and take them with us and recheck in. I mean,
sounds like a nightmare.
When I was there's a huge line for the bus. I'm like, and one of the bus drivers was a big fan. Chuck Liddell. Yeah, hey. Jump in, and actually some lady came up and was yelling at him about letting us cut the line and all that stuff. And he was actually pretty cool. He went down, you know what? My manager's right over there. Go yell at them. Get out of here.
You know, actually,
I'm like, yes, thank you. I mean, my daughter was sick from the motion sick from the thing. She threw up on my chest. I'm like, okay.
Oh no!
Well, this could be a long day. I hope we make our connection. we made it, and luckily we had checked our bags out so I could change my shirt.
Yeah.
That's I know, right? See, it worked out. Otherwise, you would have had barf on you all day.
Wait, I am curious though. So like for Chanel, when she's in public, if she wants, like she can wear sunglasses or like put on a coat or whatever, and people might not recognize her. She can kind of move stealthily. But like you have a very signature look with the mohawk. Is it hard for you to kind of stay low key?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's like, if I put a hat on, people see the back. They'll look. You see them look a little more sometimes. And then I walk kind of funny. So I have a funny kind of walk that people recognize. Like fans will like.
So like, oh, he must be a fighter.
It might be you, but then so you walk. Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's funny. Like they'll recognize the weirdest things. You know, even if I'm like, I could look like shit. I don't have my fake hair in. You know, I look like a whole different person. But then like,
as soon as she laughs,
well,
the whole room
I can't
just
laugh
looks.
in public. If I laugh, then they're like, oh, that's you. They're like, I heard your laugh. I'll be at Target, like shopping, and like I get a phone call, and I answer the phone, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, I heard your voice. And I'm like, I just basically have to stay quiet to just not be seen. I'm like, I have a recognizable voice and laugh. So that's like where I'm just like, as long as I stay quiet, nobody will notice me. I can stay in stealth mode that way.
Yeah, I think when I'm at places and people figure out that I am there,
yeah,
that makes it harder too. Like, cause I was at Disneyland one time with the kids I had a Mad Hatter hat on, so I had the hair down. But I bought it when I was there, so people knew I was there. I got out that I was there. So then people saw the walk. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I saw him. That has to be him, the big guy walking over there."
Yeah.
So were people starting to come up to you?
Yeah, people were starting. But there were actually people at like those places. Like are usually, they're there with their family. They have kids too. They try to be polite.
Yeah.
We went to Disneyland like a month ago, 2 months ago.
It was insane.
Unlike I remember, it was a madhouse. I couldn't believe it.
It was crazy. Like you couldn't even move.
It was not like when I was a kid. I feel like when I was a kid, it was always packed, but like you could still move. To this time, it was like we're practically rubbing shoulders with people the whole time.
Yeah, no, I was
how many freaking people are here?
I don't even know how people take their kids there anymore, but I could see where people are nicer, like in that situation, because
Disneyland.
Everybody knows what it's like to have kids too. It's like you don't want to be awkward in front of them.
And a lot of times too, like also like for me, like if I see someone being polite, like I'll be like, "Oh, hey man, I know you want a picture? It's all right.
Yeah.
We're waiting in line. It's okay."
Yeah.
We're
Got nothing better to do.
We're gonna be sitting here for a while.
Yeah. Same. I'm the same way. I'm like, even if I look like crap, I'll just be like, "Oh, I got my sunglasses on," and like I always take a picture. I'm like, I've had a couple people. Just like one time I had a really bad cold and a girl asked me for a picture at the store, and I never say no. I'm always pretty nice. And this one time I was like, no, I'm so sorry. I was like, I got a really bad runny nose. I'm pretty sick. And she was like, oh my God, you should be happy that people are asking for your picture. And like went off on this crazy. And I was like, is this girl insane? I was like, I just have a bad cold.
Honestly, at that point, it's like, I'm really good with fans. Most of the time, I'm happy to take pictures with people. I'm happy to talk to people. People usually are pretty good about, with me at least, they're good about
being respectful.
Time and place. And, I mean, I've had some dummies. You guys come up. I've been slow dancing. Girl, someone taps me on the shoulder.
Are you
Can
kidding?
I get a picture? I'm like,
no way.
well, you're looking at it like, bro, you can't wait. You couldn't wait till I come off the dance floor. Like I'm here having, or like I like one. I was my favorite one, but it's been a long time to get a few stories.
Yeah.
But I was climbing on a jungle gym one time, chasing my two kids, my two older kids, and some dude came and asked me, "Hey, can I get a picture?" I went, when I'm done?
Yeah.
And he's like, what an asshole. I took off. I'm like, did he just call me an asshole? Like
there's no witnesses at this park. You better be careful.
Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
But also you're with your kids.
It's like, if you can't wait, and I didn't say no. I said, can you wait a minute? Like when I'm done chasing my kids off this jungle gym. I'm on my big ass is on the top of a jungle gym.
Right.
You really think this is the time? If you can't wait 15 minutes for it, why do you deserve that time from me?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't show me that respect. Just give me a minute.
I feel like
I'm dealing with something.
Yeah.
I feel like people just can't stand being told no matter what the situation is.
Well, and I mean, most people are pretty some people forget and they get excited and other things. But that kind of, but everyone say that kind of response. I'm like, you know what? No, stop.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate you're a fan. I appreciate you watch me, you do anything. But so I will give you a picture. But don't be if there's a reason I can't, and there's a good reason for it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or if I don't wave at you or see you or I didn't see you. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to snub you on purpose.
It's crazy though.
If I snub you, and if I snub you on purpose, you don't want to talk to me anyway.
Right.
Yeah. No, but also like how bold do you have to be to be like, you're an asshole to Chuck Liddell?
No,
that's crazy.
I mean, another thing for me, because I know some people that have people come up, and I think it kind of bothers them. They just because they know they like the character they played or the things, so they get real weird, real weird about. They're like, oh man, they don't know me. I don't want to talk to them. For me, at least as a fighter, they know me. I didn't have a character. I didn't play a character. It was just me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So usually, if they're a fan, a lot of them have stories about. From watching me when they were kids or doing stuff, they have a reason they're a fan. Mm-hmm. So it's a little. I think that's for me. It makes it a little easier to be, And a lot of people. I mean, it means a lot to them. It meant a lot to stuff. My career meant a lot to them for some reason or another.
Yeah.
And I think it. I mean, makes them happy. So it's kind of cool again to see people really appreciate what you do that way. Anyway.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best part about being on TV for a while now. There's a lot of people who in one way or another, I'll have people be like, oh yeah, I've had the stories that mean the most are when people are like, oh, I had, my grandpa was sick and dying and he was just watching ridiculousness the whole time and it just made him laugh and happy. And I'm like, that just makes me feel so good, Yeah. It's just to know that in some way what you've done has inspired somebody or made them feel better or that you just were able to entertain them for one night of their life. It feels good, Oh
yeah, take them away from their problems for a minute.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Enough where it means that much to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool though.
That's exactly why I wanted to start this podcast because I was like, dude, I feel like there needs to be more podcasts where it's just about, so the podcast called The Laugh. It's called The Laugh Podcast. Obviously, I'm the laugh. But I want it to be all about that, about having a good time. It's I feel like a lot of these podcasts are just all about, oh, let's talk about the current events and all the drama going on in the world. And I'm I don't want to talk about only the drama going on in the world. Let's talk about more positive things and just laugh and have a good time, And that was the purpose of doing this show was to make people laugh and, inspire people at home to just forget about all that other shit in the world. You know what I mean?
Take a little time away from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Chuck Liddell, trailblazer and MMA champion,
For
great
real.
person. We appreciate you coming by.
Oh, thanks for
You're the
having me.
man.
It's been fun. It's been
Our
easy.
parents are
Yeah.
proud
Makes it
that we
easy.
got you on here.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things that I get a lot, and it's just kind of cool watching. When I first time someone said, "Oh yeah, man, you're my dad's favorite fighter," I'm like, "Oh man, I ain't that old."
No, people will tell me, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I've been watching since I'm a little kid. I grew up watching you. I grew up on TV myself, you know." But then when they say that, I'm like, "What? You look my age." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know. So I get what you're saying. I'm like, sometimes I feel like a dinosaur.
But now I think it's really cool because like people come up to me and they go, "Yeah." You know, I told my dad I was into MMA, and he said, "No, you got to see this guy." And I was like, you know, I got a generation of kids that all they've seen is a highlight reel of me knocking people out. So not too bad, right?
Yeah, no, that's
absolutely.
great. That's great. That's a great way to be remembered. That's a great legacy.
Hey, you're a badass.
Yep.
All right.
Seriously, you're one of our best guests. I'm so happy you were able to make it today. This guy
I'm
came
taking notes as a dad too.
Yes, taking notes from him as a dad, as a businessman, just as a human being. But this guy came right off of a flight to come here. Like, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
You're the best.
My man.
Love you.